Hi guys, Safi is here. She's waiting. I'm going to let some music start and then I'm going to see you in a just few seconds. And this is only if Safi lets me. And let's see. Safi, will you let me play some musica? Huh? Let's make this a little bit louder. It's more cinematic. Hi guys, I'm here. If you heard that scream, that was me looking for the cards, and of course a whole bunch of them just fell on the floor. Hi Kylie, good to see you. Hi Anita, good to see you too. So Safi, what? Safi just left us now? Safi has left the building? I guess so. Alrighty. So I brought a few cards. I was just kind of like feeling a little bit restless, and if you are in Canada or the US, then I wish you happy Labor weekend. I know that Europeans celebrate it somewhere in May, so it's kind of a completely different flavor. I don't know, Kylie, if you guys have it in Australia as well, but I know that this is going to be a big weekend to determine if we are going to have the second wave or not. So I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to advise you how to behave. You know yourself, your family, and I wish you to stay well, stay healthy, and stay safe. So as I'm trying to undo this damage that happened after the card just like flipped and twisted, and it's a whole bunch of them up and down, and almost like looks like these ones are the chosen. I was looking for these guys, and they were like right the first ones, and for some reason I didn't really see those, and I picked up the other ones. So too many choices, but I guess these are now naturally shuffled, and that's why I'm a little bit compelled to take those. Now I will do the short readings today, but I will want to clarify them, like, my 3 card bi-weekly kind of a thing. Hello, Barbie. Hello, Knitting Yogi. So, guys, good to see you. So, okay, mods, what do you say? Executive decision, I'm going to use this for the main reading, but for clarification, what do I use? Use the similar tarot, or use vice versa, use Housewives tarot, or use my usual gypsy cards? What would you guys like? So let me allow you kind of like come up with those decisions. So I'm going to wait for you to say. I'm going to have a sip of coffee, and I hope everybody's having a nice CATURDAY. We have a little bit of fallish weather, which is just fine. This was like way too hot. I'm really enjoying myself. It's really lovely outside, and hopefully it's there as well. Oh, you're in the spring, Kylie. Oh my gosh, that's lovely. So I guess you have a similar weather over here. This coffee really suits me well. And I'm also going to use angel cards to kind of like get a little bit extra. So since this is a special long weekend over here in North America, kind of like do it. Oh, gypsy cards. So there's like only one speaking up. Anybody else having opinion? Just got back from walking the dog. Same thing here, Knitting Yogi. You and I have the same 69F. What is this 69F? I'm lost. I only know like I'm in Celsius. Well, I do. It's just a very complex math. So let me see. Toronto, either it is 20 Celsius, which is the same 68F. So there we go. I love this weather. Oh my gosh, it couldn't be more perfect than it really is. So nobody else is chiming in, so I guess Kylie, you win. It's going to be gypsy cards, unless I have somebody coming up with a very strong point over here. So hello, Virgo. It is like Virgo season, and it's going to be very interesting. I hope you guys like your monthlies this month. To summarize, kind of like it is full moon in Pisces that we've been through. I don't know if you had any emotional upheavals, guys. It is very normal. Everything is bigger, everything is drama, everything is on steroids, kind of a thing. I really try to stay away from dog parks. This is where I experience drama. I try to kind of like stay away from neighbors. That's where I experience drama. Any relationships that are tricky, that's where I experience drama. So guess what? I kind of like, it still have one day to go, but I kind of like had it very kind of like easy to go. Oh, Knitting Yogi is the birthday on the 13th. Then what is happening today is Mercury enters Libra. And it's, oh my gosh, like it's a music to my ears, right? Mercury is this god of communication, right? And we all know what happens when we have retrograde, right? And that retrograde is messing all this communication, and even the good communicators kind of like are kind of like left scratching their heads and wondering what is going on. So what's going to happen when we enter Libra? Like, I mean, we will try to be more diplomatic. We will try to package the deal. I think this whole world and whole politics and how much we are exposed to technology, and I'm guilty as of any man or any woman out of it, right? That we are kind of like getting really edgy. So I really have to say, even though initially getting a dog was like a shock to my system, like staying out from the technology, even though I probably should just leave the phone at home, but I leave it with me for emergencies. It would kind of like mean kind of like spending that 2 hours or whatever, 2.5 hours a day with my dog in the nature, completely kind of like sacred. And that really helps. Today, for example, I really did a ritual in the morning. So I went to, like, it's not really a park, it's sort of like area that belongs to something that we call hydro. And no, it's not water, it's electricity. And so basically not many people go there, luckily, because in pandemic you can just see how overpopulated Toronto is. So we were just sitting in the grass and kind of like hugging, and that was really amazing. And it's really nice Zen moments, kind of like staying away from all of that kind of like nonsense. It's really, for me and my nervous system, it's just too much. So with the fifth today, like, I mean, kind of like being more diplomatic, at least people not having this knee-jerk reaction, kind of like doing it's going to really be better. Tomorrow, Venus is going to enter Leo, and Leo likes drama. Leo is kind of like always trying to kind of like create something. That's kind of like how they define passion. So we will have lots of relationships, maybe challenges, and maybe shocking surprises. So that's kind of like going to be the name of the day. Then we have Mars retrograding in Aries. So it's going to be a major slowdown. That's on the 9th. So take a note on that one. Put it on your calendar, not to be shocked, because actually that's probably way worse than Mercury retrograde. Maybe I should even kind of like cover it. And then this Mercury that is like entering Libra, we have this little kind of like, I would say 2 weeks, just a little bit more than 2 weeks, because on the 22nd there is like, I mean, full equinox. Libra season is starting, so it's going to be happy birthday to you guys as well in the next kind of like reading. And when we resume with my bi-weeklies, it's going to be weekly, so I'm going to back to the schedule, even though I have to say I still don't want to promise this, because I really like this bi-weekly. I really like that I have every other weekend off, so that the way I can kind of go and visit my dad. But on the September 22nd also we are going to have Mercury entering Scorpio, and that is very, very important. Also 17th is a new moon in Virgo, so anything that is organizational, everything that you want to set as a process in your life, and this is like going to be Thursday, just make sure that you do. I think I only have full moon meditation. I don't have new moon meditation. Maybe I can kind of put something up in order for that seeding processes in different signs. Alrighty. So as I said, you Virgos are going to go first, and let's do this. Virgo, and this is actually going to go after Virgo, because I always pull one just to kind of like build this anticipation and go with this. So let me just put here for Barbie, Virgo. I did the full moon meditation again this month. So did that work for you, knitting yogi? I know I don't have a studio. It's ideally that you have the little box, you have a little studio where you kind of like do this. I don't have this, but I really think with meditation it's more important that you are able not to have a perfect environment, but rather that you realize that life is one big interruption, and that we kind of like really need to deal with this. So I'm not overly upset about it, but then again, I'm not the end user. So, and knitting yogi, who is coming here all the time, in about 7 days, I guess the next weekend is going to be her birthday, so wish her all the best. Happy 29th, right? Wink wink. So that's how it works. And there you go, there is another person for September 13th. So Virgo, what's going on? Is this everything? Okay. No, it isn't. So you have some reversals, and all of them are swords. What are you thinking? There's like something going on in your pretty heads. Knight of Swords, Six of Swords, and Seven of Swords reversed. But ultimately, actually, this is not bad. Like, it sounds to me that you are coming back to something that maybe you had planned, because swords are about words, swords are about planning, swords are about commitment. The Knight of Swords, however, it really talks about some missed goals, some missed opportunities, some misdirected energies as well, if you really want to look at it. But it's really interesting because he is actually really looking at this direction. This dude and this dude are looking in this direction. So now, generally, if upright, this card is a really, really bad one. But it is reversed. So this Seven of Swords, and I might need to kind of like, are you guys hearing my air conditioner? Because if you do, I'm going to turn it off. Just please let me know. Maybe I should turn it off anyway. There we go. Because it will irritate me, and that's kind of like important. There is like some process over here. Their process is almost like rebirthing over here. It is really happening. There's like something in this period, guys, that is going to just stop. I mean, keep in mind that we are going through pandemic, and you are guys the antidote to pandemic. Your sign is the sign that really is looking for vaccine, is looking for healing, is looking for the solution out. And it almost like sounds to me that it might be some kind of like breakthrough, not only on the virus level, that it could be maybe that some testing is like very positive, that something is very promising, that something along this kind is going to come. Maybe it was something that we have looked into before, but we disregarded, and now it's found differently. Like, I mean, for me, I know if you guys are coming here often, that I was really for the past few times really coughing badly, and my asthma, and like, I mean, it was really coming in a way to a point that my doctor, quote unquote, diagnosed me with asthma, and he gave me some heavy duty steroids, which actually made things even worse. At the same time, I purchased some medication, rather to say herbal remedies, Chinese herbal remedies, and I had to order them from Amazon.com because it was not on .ca. Very expensive when you are like shipping it from the US over here. And I ordered, like, I mean, very much. I was so sure of myself. I look in the cards, it's going to help, right? And I ordered 2 packages. So they arrived, and where I go, yes, it's going to make sense because I'm going with this B story for a reason. So the steroids that I got from doctor didn't work, made me worse, and I started taking those pills in kind of like combination with it. And no, and I said, how is this possible? Thousands and thousands of people said it helped them, and I am the one it doesn't work for. And the cards were wrong, or I didn't interpret it. Like, it's a whole bunch of self-blame going on at that stage. So I go and visit doctor back, and he said, no, just like get yourself off. Let's clean your lungs, whatever it is, and let's get x-rays. So while I'm going through all this process, a few days after, I'm saying to myself, okay, now I'm not on these meds. Let me try this again. Something that didn't work. And guess what? Within a one day, I'm able to breathe properly. Everything is okay. So maybe it's not health so much. Maybe it could be a relationship for you. Maybe it could be something that for some reason or the other, you have just decided, okay, something is not doable. Something is, hello. You like Virgos? You wish him happy birthday? And knitting yogi? Are you wishing her happy birthday? No? Why? Sorry. Oh, there it is. That's really belated birthday. That's not very nice. So Virgo, what I'm saying over here is whether or not you're aware of something, you will be reminiscing. Like when Mars goes retrograde, right? So just like think about there is a warrior of some sort who, and this is like, can't you see anybody who is a warrior here? This guy is one of the biggest freaking warriors in this entire deck, right? And Chariot rules all the knights because knights are his basically generals, right? And so this warrior is now constrained. This warrior is kind of like placed in some kind of like confinement, in prison, it's killed. You get the message, right? There's like no way to move, and there's like that pent up energy, and all of a sudden like you're seeing that steam, like, I mean, that's the proverbial steam going through his nose and through his ears kind of a thing, right? But there is like almost like feeling like revving up, like when you see in the cartoons, like, I mean, somebody wants to go and you're holding them by their tail and they're just like spinning in the spot, kind of like a rat race. Maybe you can talk about that. Maybe you're simply tired. You're spending lots of time thinking, like literally, like, I mean, I can see a genius and master plan kind of like evolving over here. This also indicates coming back. This Six of Swords is generally the card that kind of like talks about leaving the problems behind, right? Sometimes we can't leave problems behind because the problems could be inside of us, or in order for us to move karmically, we really need to address those problems. So it's really hard. Now it's basically saying, I need to resolve this. Maybe I'm stepping in a boo-boo. Maybe I'm stepping up in a trouble. This also could mean that you're like accepting somebody's apology, somebody's opinion. Maybe somebody is even bullying you and you're kind of like caving in it. And I really hope this is not the case, because that can also indicate this. But in this combination, there is like a progress. It almost tells me like because they are both reversed, there's like almost like forced progress of some sort, right? And with this forced progress, guys, you're kind of like looking almost like as a balance sheet. Like, yeah, it could be really Virgo organizing kind of like style, right? So this is kind of like a card that would kind of like denote this kind of like diplomacy, because upright is like about somebody grabbing and taking and sneaking out, right? Even though I really have to say this card kind of like is making me very, very puzzled, right? So when you deal with what do you call it, thought tarot, I don't know if you ever did, maybe I should read thought tarot at times. Oh, Arby, thank you so much, but I really don't think they are. This is one of the cards that is sort of like something I really need to resolve throughout this life, and hence I spend lots and lots and lots of time thinking about this card. So the thoughts that I managed to arrive to when it is reversed is like, I mean, that you're settling the score. Maybe you're simply coming back for the round two. Maybe you're simply coming back and saying, you know, I really kind of like need to address something with you. You know, like when somebody is maybe belligerent, somebody's continuously doing something, somebody's continuously, let's say, violating your boundaries, and you're telling them, please don't do it. And like you kind of like say that in a nice way. They don't kind of care, because who cares about you? It's about me, me, me. And then you're saying to yourself, you know what? I'm taking a mental note of this. I'm going to have a conversation with you. And maybe this is what it is. Now you're kind of like saying, look, you know, this is what it is. I have tolerated this, and I have tolerated this. I have asked many times. Clearly, when I'm asking nicely, this is not going anywhere. And maybe somebody's going to get very mad. But I really like this because you are establishing clearly your own boundaries. You are saying, look, I didn't let you get away with that. I just at that time didn't find it was a proper environment or proper time for us to discuss it. Now I do, and this is the way it's going to be. I'm not going to let you progress. So that's kind of like really, really positive over here. So let me see kind of like what extra gypsies we get for this. What do we get? Jennifer, the coughing is bronchial spasms. My dad was a respiratory therapist. Well, they thought I had a bronchitis, but like the x-rays came that I'm completely clear. So I'm not sure what it is, because I thought they are allergies. So we have here faithfulness, and we have here malady. And I'm really wondering if when this kind of like shows up, if you kind of like made yourself sick, or there's like some kind of stress in this whole situation. And whenever you feel stressed, it's almost like somebody sends waves toward you, and like this is how you have your feelers out, and you're saying, okay, I really don't like it. Something really need to be done in order to kind of like create your own equilibrium, right? So be very careful, because if you continue bottling things up, those things can actually come out in that form, because each of us have a weak link, right? And for some, like, I mean, for many of us, actually, the weak link is our health. For you guys would be kind of like a stress, and that stress can really, really manifest in excessive nervousness. I don't know, it might even cause, let's say by the weekend, it might cause some kind of like arguments. But if these arguments are again shut down, like you're simply going in a battle without even trying to win it. And that's the key. Honesty. And I really think this is the key. It's not only, I mean, the faithfulness came reversed. When faithfulness reverses, this really speaks about you. It speaks about you expecting, maybe even expecting, I should have said accepting, that somebody is just like not really there for you, right? Or hearing somebody's explanation and knowing very well that this is really not the case. So this is really, really important, right? So I really think also this whole time is telling me that you really need some pampering. Maybe you're just working on steroids. Maybe you're just overworking. So this is really, really important, because there is like some kind of disloyalty. There is some kind of betrayal. There is like something that now you're bearing your own teeth. Now you're really showing this stuff. But also, if somebody has been, let's say, unfaithful, this can actually really talk unfaithful or irresponsible or maybe even unethical, immoral. I really think it's going to change the quality of your relationship that is really, really coming up. So there you go, guys. You almost got a monthly reading here. And with my big kind of like convoluted story about that. But, just think about something from the past is kind of like resurfacing, and it is your opportunity to kind of like really challenge it and work really, really well about it, right? So let's see the feedback from Virgo. That sounds about right. I have a friend who challenged me about being in school because she said it would be hard for her, but it's fine for me. Yeah, isn't this amazing how other people can do it, but we can do it? It's just like, but that's actually really a huge compliment if you really think about it, even though it kind of like really sounds ridiculous. So let's see who is next. I'll have a sip of coffee. Scorpio. So Scorpios, let's see what's happening over here. Scorpio. Scorpio, air irritates air. That's funny, Jennifer, that you say this. It's very true because I have a fan blowing in my face when I sleep. I always start to cough, and I'm double air. I'm both Aquarius and Libra. Luckily, I have Virgo and Leo in me to kind of like balance me out. So that's good. Let's see. Okay, that's so cool. That's so funny. All right. So let's see Scorpio. Let's put a time mark here, over here. And yay, round for applause for Barbie. Isn't she lovely? She always kind of like posts this kind of stuff, and her icons are just entertaining, just kind of like to look at it, and I think it's freaking awesome. What is this? Am I going to get something really that is like happy? Like, didn't we last time have like so many happy events? And now like, I mean, I have to kind of like really try to figure out the ways. So first and foremost, Scorpio, there is like some new start, or there is like a willingness to new start. This also can be seen as somebody doesn't want a new start. So there you go. Like, there is a duality, right? So that's the proverbial three of swords, because we have both three of swords, which talks about failure, which talks about things are not really working out, and which talks about somebody's really hurting you. But then we have victory. So somebody hurts you and somebody's victorious. So could it be that you're really challenging somebody? Could it be that you push somebody to the freaking, breaking point? Or maybe somebody is leaving you because maybe they consider you maybe controlling. I'm just saying this because we fixed signs tend to be that way, especially when under stress, especially when we are in a difficult situation, because we kind of like put the blinders on and we just go toward our goal. And because Ace of Wands generally upright talks about new beginnings, but talks about new beginnings that generally kind of like are born out of something that has already been. So it probably wouldn't be just a new person you meet on the block, right? It would be somebody who you knew, somebody who, already maybe winked at you before, but somebody with whom you had a relationship, right? Something that is reignited. Sometimes we can talk about just passion in you being reignited. Let's say sometimes we go through, let's say, healing process. It can be just simply that we draw ourselves from, let's say, dating market or any kind of engagement, because we just need to distress, kind of like, so we are minimizing the stimuli outside, right? So when this kind of like shows up, it can also say, okay, now I'm ready. I'm turning flicking the switch on, kind of a thing. But check it out. This is reversed. There's somebody I really think is messing with your sense of comfort, with your sense of kind of like how you deal with things, kind of like what is really, really important to you. So that is really kind of like a little bit concerning. But like having this Six of Wands in the end, it's also concerning to me. Not only, sure, it just shows that the outcome is going to be okay in the end. Things are going to really work out, because if you really break it down, right? So this is like all adding up to 10, which kind of like talks about turnaround, a new beginning. But it could be that there's some kind of like a big drama in the process. It could be that you're dealing with a third party. It could be that, somebody, you find out that somebody is kind of like dishonest behind your back. I mean, this is very phallic and this is extremely phallic, right? And which sign in horoscope is connected to sex? Let me think about it. Kind of a thing, right? It's kind of like weird when it comes to passion. It's just like all or nothing for you, and that's what we see. It not only everything adds to 10, but also we have ace of wands here, which is the vibration of that one as well, right? But wands are simply usually not necessarily where you really go. One is like when you just enter the car and you just want to, you have the key in your hand, right? Two would be when you're putting it in and turning it on, and three would be when you're basically leaving, right? So in tarot, is not necessarily that one is the action part of new beginning, but it is simply conceptual part of the new beginning, right? This really, really concerns me because I really don't want for anybody to experience Three of Swords, and that can be lots of pain. But I also find that Scorpio's karma, and that's why you're born into Scorpio sign, guys, is that phoenix that usually you're represented with. You know that you have many signs, and if the Scorpio, who I'm not going to say your name, who wrote me an email, was such a sweet email, and like, I mean, if you are here or if you're listening to this later, just like, I mean, how I appreciate that. Her email was in particular maybe disagreeing with how I see water sign Scorpio versus Pisces and Cancer, giving how basically quality they have. The Scorpio is small, just lives on the land, that kind of stuff, right? And what I have explained to her is like, I'm kind of like reading this energetically. Scorpio has this like enormous, like literally I'm feeling almost like iceberg. Like I'm feeling that enormous freaking power, right? It's almost like if you see the water, if kind of like you compare it, I can see something monumental, something like freaking whale, right? So here, this is kind of like similar. It's huge thing. It's something that is really, really going on. Something that, oh my gosh, Aries and psychiatrist, what can go wrong? So Three of Swords, give me, look at this. Sight of a lover. You are like missing somebody. Did somebody take a break? Did somebody, I really don't like this card, this Sights card. Check her out. She is holding something that looks like a letter, right? The rose is down. So somebody's not departing who she loves, and she wants to have kind of like that reminiscing kind of a thing over here, right? No, kind of like a rose signifies to me that maybe something is kind of like lost, right? Then there is like this this bench over here that actually to some extent looks like a piano, right? And so she needs that support of some sort over here, right? So, and then she has this veil, wondering if she's a widow, but I really don't think she is with the way she's really dressed. This really is usually one of those cards that is really talking about searching for answer, for solution, or feeling that solution is like out of the window of some sort, right? It can talk about isolation, it can talk about that abandonment. So there it is, like, I mean, this Three of Swords kind of like repeating over there. This is clearly a card, especially when it's kind of like merging with the lover, that is showing desire for passion and love, right? But at the same time, it indicates they're like worries or anxiety about relationship. So if you're in a relationship, there is like something that is going off. It's going to work out, but I really don't think it's going to work out in a way that you're going to resolve this issue. It's going to be, looks like you're going to just jump in bed, apply some kind of Scorpio magic, and things are going to patch up. But you did not resolve the issue, and that's kind of like what really worries me with this kind of a combination, right? Because this kind of this all kind of like talks about kind of like uncertainty or waiting, and it talks about to the emotional response that we kind of like we have when something has value or something is worth it. We see it in dating all the time, right? Like, I mean, when if the person is I don't know, like I really don't want to generalize, but let's say you can see a guy, if he's on his own and he doesn't really have much to offer, no personality, let's say, no looks, no hard work, kind of a thing, the person kind of like sees him one way. But all of a sudden, if that one person finds out, oh, he has like this very influential appearance and he is loaded, like the perception of this person may change, because then it's going to be either higher or lower depending on basically the moral standing of this person. So this here tells me that you guys need to find out the fundamental reasons of why something is not kind of like going properly, and two of them they're coming out: awakening and commitment. Are you guys asking for the commitment, or somebody's asking for commitment from you? But then the lover is coming through. Somebody just really wants to continue the way it is. Somebody doesn't want commitment. Maybe that's why it is. Maybe you're going with that somebody back and forth. Maybe that somebody is just saying, I just like the way it is. And maybe this is kind of very disappointing for you, because that's not what you planned in your own kind of like head. So it's going to be very interesting, guys. Scorpios, would be good to hear from you and see your take on it, because there are like lots of things happening over here. I think partly it's you, and partly is that maybe somebody's true needs or true emotions are not communicated, and that is really important if you really want to move forward in a healthy way. All right, so let me have a sip of coffee. And the next one is Sagittarius. Okay. Usually when I read, when I would kind of like choose when I read it, I would always kind of like get Scorpion, Sagittarius to get, oh, did I close this? Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Let me see if this kind of shut down for everybody or just for me. Oh no. Just give me a second. I don't know if you're there. We are here. Oh my gosh, like my Chrome just disappeared. I was like, oh no, I just can't believe this. Like, why is this happening? So, Sagittarius, let's see what's going on. Okay, thank you. I had a panic. Okay, so having the High Priestess that jumped through. Virgo rising is your backbone. Ooh, look at that. You have majors. So Sagittarius, for you, this period is going to be all about nurturing. Oh my gosh, you're getting 3 majors. This is biggie. So keep in mind that when I read these weeklies or bi-weeklies, I always kind of like take them light. That's why the readings are usually short, because this is almost like how to do the recipe. Right? It's the recipe there, but like, I mean, how to do the recipe, as you know, it can be very different, right? Depending on your oven and depending on your skills and so on and so forth. Even with the best instructions, we can fail. But when the majors come through, this is almost like your spirit guides are communicating, are entering my hands and taking over my will, right? Because there is like this greater, higher power that we really all talk about it. Some people talk about it as God. Some of us talk about spirit guides, universal kind of energy. I think Einstein talked about this kind of like quartz energy. So there is like this quantum that is really, really going on. So the High Priestess, it's kind of really interesting because the cards are adding to 5. And 5 is Hierophant. A Hierophant is sometimes being called High Priest. There's a huge difference between the High Priestess and the High Priest, though. The High Priestess is silent. There's lots of silence that is really happening over here in the situation. That basically tells me that maybe you're in a situation that is just done. When people get to that silent mode, when people just don't have any rebuttal or they're not even talking, that just like simply means this is it. I have nothing to say. Nothing. I just cannot move forward. I just don't know how to convey my point because I thought you would get it, but this is not going forward, right? And the High Priestess is just like simply looking at things, looking what is good, what is bad. that can talk about some kind of like self-assessment of some sort, because the hangman also talks about the self-assessment. It's a little bit on a different level, right? Because hangman also represents God, and it's saying, okay, I should be all-knowing, but I have to understand that I need to also expand my knowledge. And I don't know if you can see it, he is hiding this number 4 over here with how he's keeping his legs, and he is not in some kind of like pain of some sort, right? He is basically doing this for a reason, and that reason is, I really want to know what I can do to satisfy you. I really want to know what you're really going through. You know, when people express a sympathy or something, and people tell you, or when people say, well, I understand, and another person will snap, you have no idea, you haven't been in this situation. So this person is saying, show me what it means being in your situation, right? Because the moon is basically almost similar to basically the hangman, because the moon, we are seeing coyote and dog barking at the moon, and one is talking about the conscious, one is talking about subconscious, but both of them are wrong, because the path is something that is emotional. That's why we have this lobster that is going to basically take this path and get there, while like we are wasting our time in maybe nonsense. But when the moon starts reversing, we are not anymore into psychic hunches, we are not anymore into wishful thinking kind of sort of things, but we are more into, hi Sophie girl, she's just going and flicking her tail. We are more here going in the pragmatic. So the sun is coming, the morning is coming, like the moon is like kind of like leaving us, and we are kind of like getting in the situation. So I can see over here for you, Sagittarius, that some of you will be making an effort to repair something, while others are just going to be just put a fork in me, I'm done. So there is like 2 different types of Sagittarians that will happen, or both. Maybe you're going to make this effort and then going to say, it just looks like this is beyond repair, this is beyond help, right? But for others, maybe reaching this level of pragmatism that you see, this is what it is, that's how it is, can I deal with this? It may be actually very beneficial to maybe get into some kind of like a new form, if you wish, right? To kind of like deal with this, because you just can't possibly move forward if you kind of like do not establish where you are, right? So if you're a smoker and you smoke 2 packs a day, if you don't acknowledge that you're a smoker and you're still telling yourself that you're a social smoker, you can kind of get rid of it anytime, you cannot possibly make this progress. So this is kind of like that understanding of, okay, so let's see the starting point. And you're really, really good that way. So that's really kind of like important. So let's see. Oh, interesting, Kylie. So then we have sorrow. And I don't know like how this sorrow fits. Saggies. And then we also have melancholy. So yeah, I guess where it fits is that is making you disappointed. There's like overall, I would not say bitter taste, right? So luckily it's not depressive. It's not like there's like this one card, suicide. You didn't get to it, but both of them like have something in common. Both of them are just looking down. And when you look down, when I see cards that are looking down, it kind of like tells me really what I was just telling you. It's kind of like getting grounded. It's Sagittarius is like such a lofty sign. You just want to fly very high. You want to have these big ideas. So you want to build, a castle on a different planet, right? But somebody says, how about instead of castle on a different planet, we just go and build castle in the sand? And you're just like looking at them like, what the hell is wrong with you, kind of a thing. But like here's somebody literally telling you, look, you need to give up on these castles on a different planet. You need to come down here. And so there is like this kind of like understanding. And this can also mean, guys, it can be looking in some kind of like separation from somebody. It could be a little bit of broken heart. This can actually talk about maybe even money problems. And clearly it is understanding, for example, if it's money problems, like I keep doing this and I keep going this direction and it's not working. And maybe you're saying, okay, maybe my approach is completely wrong in about this. So and this is what is really good. In the end, what's going to bounce you back is a proverbial Sagittarian kind of like a thing, looking for positive direction to channel your thoughts and energy, because you don't want to really look in illusions anymore, right? And so it's kind of like something that is really, really moving forward. So let's see your angel card over here. Hello from North California. Sisterhood and brotherhood. Oh my gosh, like flower child vision came to me with this card, sisterhood and brotherhood. So I don't know if this is technically talking about you having issues with your siblings, but when I saw the card, this kind of like tells me about much bigger sisterhood, sort of like a mankind thing, kind of like we are all connected, which is weird. This is more personal. This is kind of like usually one-on-one, and this is more global, kind of like who you are as a person. But people kind of like live their lives just to be happy, 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 happy. How would you know happiness if you don't know sorrow? So this is kind of like one of those things. And you remember, one of your cards is not only temperance, but it's Wheel of Fortune that rules Jupiter. And Wheel of Fortune really talks about it, like you are on the bottom and everybody hates being on the bottom, but it's the only way to go from there. Also, the same goes with the top, but nobody really talks about it's the only way to go from here, kind of a thing, right? Because everybody expects that you're going to come up and up and up. So this is going to be heavy duty bi-week for you. I would kind of like check your monthlies as well. I don't know if anybody can post your monthlies here on in the chat, so you don't have to look around, but just go on my channel on videos or the playlist for September 2020 and just check your sign and just to go with that. So I'm doing this longish, but I guess you guys don't mind. And who is next? Next is a sip of coffee. Kylie, I was literally building sand castles this week for my set. Oh my gosh, Kylie, we are really kind of like on the same channel. It's so cute. And we have here Pisces. Pisces. We just had this full moon in Pisces. How did you guys do with that full moon? That's pretty heavy, no? Pretty heavy. Pisces. 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 You have strength. You have Wheel of Fortune, and you have Eight of Swords reversed. So I was just telling Sagittarius, guys, let me just put your timestamp over here. I was just telling Sagittarius like that this is their usually card about Jupiter, right? But it also represents, it shows this fixed signs, Aquarius, Scorpio. Scorpio is presented as the Phoenix over here, Taurus and Leo. They all have wings, they all have books. Because we really talk about this Torah, it really talks about learning, talks about sacred knowledge. It's not only knowing, but it's also understanding. If you ever watch Fish Called Wanda, one of my all-time favorite movies is when Jamie Lee Curtis is telling Kevin Kline, you know, like he's reading Nietzsche, right? So she says, so what? Monkeys can read, right? But monkeys cannot understand, or something like that. But that's kind of like was the point. I was just telling Sagittarius, once when you're on the bottom, the only way is to go on the top. It really talks about that. Maybe you guys are dealing with somebody who is trapped. He can be literally trapped in prison. He can be trapped in a situation that it could be some kind of monetary issues, but generally, like this combination would talk about somebody who is involved, overextended, which can extend to being married, which can extend to being in a relationship that cannot leave. So there's like a commitment that is in a way, right? Commitment that is like some kind of prevention. You also have two major arcanas that are really telling you that you need to focus on yourself. Whenever you have two major arcanas, focus on yourself. I don't mean to say, oh, it's just me, and nobody else cares. No. Focus on yourself means analyzing yourself a little bit to and they are like two fires. You're like air. You have basically Jupiter, which is basically fire. You have air, and fire and air kind of like collaborate, right? And now another fire here, right? So we don't have water or earth. So this is almost like getting out of your own comfort zone. And that's what we need to do when we need to analyze ourselves. Like, how would other people do it? And do I feel comfortable being with somebody very different like that? Do I feel comfortable being in that situation, right? So that is really important over here to look. And you got a whole bunch of cards. You got death, you got friend, you got constancy, and you got money. I mean, if I'm really literal, and if I go in a literal meaning of the cards, the friendship ends. You need to rebuild yourself, and you need to focus to what is important to kind of like hold yourself together. Maybe somebody cost you financially. Maybe somebody is, you know, a drain. Maybe you have been trusting in some sort. Like, in money is not only about money. Sure enough, money is kind of like foundation of something. In this particular card, and I always notice this, we have tons of different things. We have trinkets, we have gold coins, but we have denomination of some sort. But we also have, and I don't know if you can tell it in the safe, we have books. So what are these books? What kind of like secrets are in these books, right? So money upright is a really good thing, but it kind of like tells me that you kind of like are being very pragmatic, kind of like looking at things, right? This can also talk about inheritance, guys, right? Because this is kind of like one of those things, heaven and hell as well. So this can also talk about luck and good fortune. And this is really important, this combination over here. Unless this all means it's ending something. Maybe you feel that if you get rid of someone, that everything ends, that everything is going to roll out from there. So that is really important to kind of like really think about it. Now, if you guys are into gambling, I really have to advise you against this. At the same time, there are like positives in this situation. Maybe somebody is going to start realization that, I mean, when the Eight of Swords reverses, it's kind of, the card says, okay, I did take this blindfold. I do see there are no enemies, and that there was only one person who kept me in this situation. So if this is you, then this would be positive. This would mean, okay, you're rebuilding yourself. You're setting one foot in front of another. Maybe you had somebody who has been a very bad influence, who maybe kept you under stress, who was continuously needy, and you were always there for them. Maybe you need them for you, or you need them to do something, but they're just willing to do whatever, you know, one trick pony kind of like a thing. And getting rid of them might have some repercussions, but ultimately is going to help you, from what I see over here. And we have play. And I love the beach and everything. Well, this is like one of the last times to be on the beach, right? But I really don't think this is really connecting to that. I think this is like essentially who you are. You are like that very light and easy and breezy sign. And when you get this quality of harshness on kind of like thickness, it's almost like feels like that you're choking in your environment. So this is kind of like almost like a remedy. Hey, you know, you need to kind of like set aside thinking about big issues, and instead just like do something that is kind of like keeping you in the moment. This is almost like message, be in the now kind of a thing. So let's see, what else do I have here? 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, I'm really behind today, but I'll have a sip of coffee and another one. So the next one is Aquarius. Oh, look at us. We are a little bit ahead. Generally, we always end up being in the second part, so it's all good. So Aquarius. Okay. Nine of Pentacles reversed, Queen of Cups, and Five of Wands. So not exciting. So not exciting. So this upcoming 2 weeks is going to be all about balance. It's going to be all about kind of like how and what we want. It looks like that we have been like almost like fighting, or not so much fighting, it's not a word because we need to fight, we have been almost like pragmatically working on kind of like putting the building blocks of some kind of like new foundation, if you really wish, with Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is a very tricky card because Nine of Pentacles is really talking about somebody who kind of like accomplished quite a bit. And now they're kind of like wondering if this is it. You're going to stay where you are, enjoy your little garden, enjoy your possessions, enjoy everything that you have. Or are you going into that next stage where you become part of the bigger whole, right? So that's the proverbial thing. If you become the part, then you are not anymore one, but you will actually have more and you'll be stronger because of the union. So it has pluses and minuses, right? So when this is reversed, it's more or less telling me, nah, I'm staying where I am. I just kind of like don't want this. But at the same time, it's kind of like I guess a conflict, internal conflict between wanting to be with people, wanting to have all of these friends, and wanting to be alone. There's like something that is really happening. I feel it's going to be 2 weeks of a good emotional equilibrium. Maybe other people will need us. And that's sometimes a problem because when people need you, then you just kind of like don't understand that you also need time for yourself. And that kind of like interference can actually lead to needing to set the foot down and needing to kind of like put the boundaries. It's kind of like, look, I can help you, but not in that way. This is how I can do it. So it could be something that is going to be redefining how to go about things. The Queen of Cups is really, really interesting. It is really showing here because generally Aquarians don't come through as Queen of Cups. And I don't know about you, other Aquarians, but lately my friends were telling me, oh, you're so sweet, you're so kind. And I would never describe myself as sweet. Kind, yes, but sweet, yeah, no, kind of a thing. And it's kind of like really weird. It could be that we just kind of like fell into some hole and, like that kind of like focus oriented, that kind of like rubs people the wrong way, kind of like got stuck on a tree as I was falling down. It could be something like that. But like something like that I'm seeing over here. Having said that, it looks to me that we kind of attract lots of people that really need nurturing, because whenever Queen of Cups shows up, it shows about having this immense amount of understanding, an immense amount of, oh, it's okay, and no matter who you are, you can come, you can kind of like get this nurturing over here. But it really shows that at some point we're going to get to, okay, the cup got empty and we need to kind of like replenish it, right? So let me see what we get with gypsies over here. There's one that jumped. It's thief. Yeah, somebody's taking advantage, and I was picking up on it. Somebody's taking advantage of this, and we are setting their foot down. We are putting the rules down. The priest is almost like this, right? The Hierophant is in tarot. It's also number 5, just like here. It's kind of like really interesting. In gypsy cards, the priest is a lawyer and a doctor. Remember, like they had like this multi kind of thing. Why? Because they were the only one who had education, kind of a thing. And it's also about morality. It's also about confessing, but it's also about legal opinions. Maybe there is a struggle or there is a legal battle here that is going on, right? But this legal opinion just generally can talk about separation of some kind or inheritance, like when it comes like in this combination, right? So I don't know, like, I mean, why sense is coming to me for some reason, because everything that I'm seeing here is basically telling me that there is like something that is coming to us that is like more in our life than just like physical world, right? And so could be pressing legal matters that I said, and like, and then we are looking into like what is the basically the real source of, you know, what is the real lesson that you really need to do it, and kind of like inexperience of some sort can kind of like be coming through, that we really need maybe some kind of like tutoring or something that basically happening, because after all he's kind of like reading from his, what is it called, breviary, I think, right? So this is meaning that this preaching is not coming from him. He is kind of like he's kind of like sending the words to you, right? Like I have few of these oracle decks that are so well written that I really don't want to interpret them myself, because they kind of like have this like a really amazing take on things. So I would say, guys, I would advise you to make an honest assessment of recent actions and thoughts, and choose the basically right and moral option for how to continue. And the angel card is release. Yeah, because maybe we feel that somebody has taken something away from us, or somebody is encroaching on our territory, but we are allowing that energy to go in, and that's why we are battling it out. So it is time to release, push and release, and this is all that is really needed. All right, Aqua, hopefully this helps. Any Aquarius over here? Anybody giving feedback over here? Would like to know. There's Kylie as Aquarius is not sweet. I know, I think we are more like blueberries. Blueberries are not sweet, right? It's kind of like that tarty kind of like feeling in that. That would be better explanation. Because whenever everybody calls me sweet, I'm shaking my head and saying, you really don't know me, right? All right, the next one. This knitting yoga, it seems like I'm having to hold my ground a lot. Yeah, that Aquarius thing in us really screws us, right? Oh, I didn't put Aquarius here. Barbie, I'll have to put some question marks here. You'll have to check this. Libra, so that's my ascendant. So let's see what happens with this. Barbie is Libra. Any other Libra over here? I was just thinking of blueberries. Kylie, we are freaking rocking today, you and me. Blueberries. Do you know that blueberries is a very Canadian thing? And we have like, I don't know, big blueberries, like really, really big. That one was like size of freaking raspberries. And they're really juicy. So let's see, Libra, ooh, you have 10 of Pentacles. Hi Nevin, nice to see you. How are you doing, sweetie? Would love to hear feedback from you. My grandmother, oh, so sad to hear her died, and I feel like so much compassion, towards my family. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear it. I know how much you love her. Would love to know what's happening with your recipe, so let me know. Like, this is a person we will know in the world, trust me on this one. And something else flicked over here. Here we go. What's going on over here? Guys, you are definitely dealing with pragmatical things over here, right? My condolences, Nevin. I know how much your grandmother meant for you. Like your whole life revolved about her and her legacy. But at the same time, I'm picking up your energy as kind of like it's a new beginning. It's kind of the pressure that kind of like, what is this called? You know, like when you cover the cake with that golden with a glass kind of like top. So it's almost like equivalent of a glass ceiling, that this is now lifted, and you will do really well. So just don't think about this too much. Just think about what is new for you and how you will carry certain things forward. So Libra, We have here an essence of something karmic coming through. But it's not going to be, it's not major arcanas, right? So it's going to be more or less in the little kind of like tidbits coming your way. Family is going to be huge, very important for you. You're like ramping up for your birthday, and it's always exciting time. So one way or the other, you are just trying to be helpful, and I think everybody around you is trying to be helpful. There are certain things that you really need to resolve with your family, and some things you will resolve, and some things you won't. I mean, it's really interesting that you have both Ten of Pentacles, which really talks about this whole freaking concept is glued together. Everything works together. So this could be celebration, could be holidays, could be that Labor Day, getting together with a family of some sort. And then somebody freaking drops the ball, and somebody just mess everything up. It's just like, almost like that you end up scratching your own head thinking like, oh, which one I didn't get, which part I cannot get. I always get suckered into the same thing, right? Because I can see you walking away. You can see yourself, I have to find a different way. I have to find something else. This is an interesting card. And I find that most readers go, oh, somebody's gone. But this card is like a really interesting card to me. That means this person has to go to Nine of Cups, which is like the self-indulgence. And this is like what people call bucket list, right? And generally, I prefer to stay in the stage of Six of Cups. And this is sort of like weird because with cups, they're not very happy. They start happy. They start with Ace of Cups. It's beautiful. You're winking, and then, oh my gosh, this is my soulmate. Two of Cups, right? Three of Cups. We also build friendship, and it's kind of working, and I'm bringing more people in my happiness. And then it goes to Four of Cups, it's a disappointment. Five of Cups, devastation. Six of Cups, kind of like melancholy, thinking about how the times have been. Seven of Cups, oh, it's just like dreaming about this person coming back, right? Then Eight of Cups, okay, he or she's not coming back. Let me kind of like look for my own happiness. The Nine of Cups, going nuts, getting drunk, etc., etc. And then Ten of Cups is just realization of what really makes you happy, right? Where sometimes you really need to stay low, kind of like in this Two of Cups stage, right? So this is kind of like the thing over here, that this also means you might also go back. You might also not find something better. You might actually decide that this is what it is. So the question here is, are you having big lofty ideas of somebody, that you need somebody, and that somebody maybe doesn't exist? Are you not giving enough chance, or there's somebody else who's not giving enough chance? Oh man, I don't know about you people, but like there are so many people these days who are just flunkies, like fluff. It's just like everybody wants the best. That narcissism that abounds is just like incredible, right? But what? Nobody is the best. Even those people who having like tens of selfies per day, oh my gosh, I just can't. I just like remove. I can't stand it. That's why I still didn't come on camera, because just I am completely on the other side of that. Kind of like, let's go inside. I'm just like so tired of all this inside, of this kind of like outside thing. But this Eight of Cups is really telling me that you're kind of like carving your own way. You're really going to go and find what you want. I don't know if this is, you want some, if you're already a mother, maybe you're kind of like looking for the comfort within your own family. Maybe your child is letting you down in this kind of like period of time. Maybe that's what it is. But there's like some kind of lightness about that. Like, I mean, I like this card. Frivolity doesn't sound great, but this is like also the card that means lightness, leggezza, right? And it just doesn't talk about something is permanent. Just like this card is not permanent. Oh yeah, maybe somebody's leaving you. Maybe you're thinking, oh, this is it, or somebody's going back to his wife or his spouse. It can mean this way, or somebody else's children are more important than me. That can be interpreted this way. But this really tells me that whatever you're thinking, the situation is not permanent, because that's why you're getting this beautiful butterfly. So don't sweat the small stuff, kind of a thing, as they say, right? And relax. yes, I really think that you have too much of an intensity in that. Or there is like too much intensity in the situation, not needed. Just remember, we have this freaking Mars retrograde in Aries. We need to really slow down. And slowing down means meditating. Slowing down means doing yoga. Slowing down means don't worry what people tell you how you should be. You need to say to yourself how you should be. And you need to make this effort to kind of like go in this direction. So that's really, really important over here. And hopefully this really helps, guys. And it looks like it's going to rain in Toronto, and they didn't announce this. I was planning to do another walkie-walkie with Mr. Tiger after the thing, so we'll see how this works out. So this was Libra, and I also didn't put Libra stamp, and Barbie is going to murder me how many question marks I have over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? Barbie didn't yell at me yet that I need to do doors? Okay, Barbie, I'm yelling at you now. How come you didn't set me straight? All right, so I'm covering this up, guys. We are doing the doors. Mods, please explain what the doors are while I'm finding the deck, while I'm shuffling the cards over here. What deck I want to use for this one? Not this one. Oh. No, this one is just going. Let's go one of those decks that I brought over here on the table. I'm using Housewives Tarot for this. So guys, think of your question. Okay, question. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. Okay, guys. Okay, let's do this. Remove this so you can see the cards that I have. So let's put a stamp here. Boy, I'm really, really sloppy with the stamps today. And my apologies to Barbie. Must be slow internet today. I know, I'm finding that slow internet is with me happening the last week as well. Kylie disappointed with my 9-year-old at the moment. Teenagers, right? Doors, there I go. She's doing this. Pick a number. Thank you, guys. So, if you thought of the door number 1, you're getting Queen of Pentacles. You are thinking about some kind of indulgence. And look at her. She is the queen of her family. There is her husband. There is her daughter. Kylie, did you think about the door number 1? I'm just sorry. Sorry to be blunt, but did you really think about it? Because it resonates this way. And it's just, she has everything in order, right? She is controlling everything, but she is also dressing everybody up. Everybody is holding groceries. There's even a doggo over here. So the answer is big yes over here. And it really talks about it needs programming, it needs protocol, it needs things how they are placed in order. Today, we are so connected, this is even scary. So yes, it's going to happen. Things maybe about payments of some sort will come through. You might even pamper yourself because Queen of Pentacles is about that way. She wants everything to be in order. So the answer is yes. And then we have door number 2. It's Page of Swords. Yes, this is the boy who is a little bit too much, too hyper, and he has scissors. What can go wrong? What does it say? What does it say? I cannot even tell. It says, my eyes. Let me get my, I don't know where it is. My magnifying glass. Oh, do I have a magnifying glass in my... Let me just check. I think I might be having magnifying glass on my thing here. No, that's not magnifying glass. because now I'm stubborn. I really want to know what is this all about. No, magnifying. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Magnifying. Magnifying glass. I do have it. So, and it's loading the ad for me. Sorry guys that I am so much delaying, but I think it could be something that I really, it says, of course I cannot read it because it's this way. With, I don't know if you can see it, it's really weird. No, it just, WISS, I could be a brand of the, or SSIM, I guess, and it shows something else. So it's, I guess, not maybe really important after all, unless there is like some reference to something I don't understand. But he's leaving his fingers everywhere. I guess I'm hesitant to say yes, even though this card would mean yes, and that's why I'm looking for what other things are done. You almost like these bars look like some kind of like bars of somewhere where you shouldn't go. That his little pages of swords are very mouthy, something that kind of like gets blurted out. So maybe there's like something that should happen, but somebody steps in and mess it up. So be very careful who and how you talk about it. I guess that's what I would say. So most likely it's yes, but it's with conditional. It's a conditional yes, kind of like what you say, how you say it. This can also talk about accidents, and so be very careful with that as well. And the scissors, and then oh my gosh, the world. I love it because I don't think I ever drew this card in this deck, and it's really showing us little, you know, how they package this like the recipe book, right, to start with, and it's really talking about these cue cards and everything that has been done. So this is a clearly yes. This is like, I mean, big success for the door number 3, and there's like something starting again. You have resolved certain things, and now it's going to be easy from this point on. So that is going to be really nice. So you're going to see we'll have a second round of these questions at the very end. So if you already heard your sign, then just like connect with us in about, you know, I don't know, half an hour, because I'm very slow today. And I'm slow because it's good for you, because we are going in a very kind of like detail oriented thing with every sign. So next is Aries. Aries, that is going to be interesting because we want to see what kind of flavor we are going to get with that retrograding, right? Mars over here. So let's see. I'll have a sip of coffee. Yay, Yogi picked number 3, so can't wait to see how that's going to really work out. So let me put the stamp before I forget. So Aries. Aries. I'm relieved to know things will be in order. I know, it's almost like kind of like tension. I should play some music or drum roll or something like that. Okay, so you have 7 of Cups reversed. 7 of Cups. And 9 of Pentacles reversed. And King of Wands reversed. Oh man, you are not going to be happy campers. Any Aries over here? Whew. Whew. I'm almost like feeling like, oh, kind of like the feeling behind it. It's almost like feeling something is really weird, right, happening. So what is really happening over here? Like it's Tower that is really happening over here. Like there is not necessarily something that is going to be brought to your attention because the card Tower didn't show up, but 9 and 7 are 16, which is the Tower card, right? So that means it's going to be lots of little annoyances, lots of little things that need to be straight up. But it almost looks like if you straighten yourself up because you are possibly this King of Wands, right, then many other things will kind of like fly and flow smoother, right, as a result, right? So this really tells me that the dreamland is done. Maybe you have been emotionally expecting something. Maybe you have been financially expecting something. Maybe you kind of like wanted things to fall in their own place, to fall in their brackets. And maybe this didn't happen for one reason or another, right? And this kind of cards to me don't really spell disappointment. It just rather spell almost anger that they actually didn't really work out. It's kind of like you almost like you put it in your bag. You expected this is there. You expected this is what's going to happen, and it's like there's like almost like element of shock that this kind of like things really didn't really work out, and hence it's kind of like maybe getting you to that explosive attitude over here. So this is all going to be happening for you just before new moon in Virgo, and I really think around the 16th this month, just over this basically end of the reading, you should probably consult your monthly as well. Just go on my page and look for playlist September 2020, because on the 17th we have new moon in Virgo, which kind of like means that you can redirect this anger or this outburst or this kind of like flow emotions somewhere in order for you to kind of like help yourself up, right? So let's see what else do we get here. So we have house and we have dottore, doctor, house, doctor, house visits. House to me it's also the card that should be called home, but not everyone has a home like this. So it is more than that. It's kind of like something big. It is our life that is contained in, like all these rooms in this house could be representing different family members and their influences, good and bad, that they actually had on us. And maybe there's like a process of us reaching out and needing help of some sort. It's really interesting combination, and very rarely going to find anybody kind of like reading discarding combinations, because this is ridiculously hard, right? I mean, house, doctor, doctor in the house, but this is really also not happening. House to me always kind of like goes back to us, goes back to who are we, and this is here to me telling me that you know, what was this book? Lost Illusions? What is this Victor Hugo book? It kind of like talks about this enthusiasm and having this positive thinking, and then at some point this positive thinking, which is great to some extent, is actually making you live life of lies and not really facing things. You guys are not really usually having that illness that I would say positivity could be an illness as well. If it goes overboard, because at some point you have to be pragmatic and just believing that things will change forever. I guess maybe will make you feel happy, but you will also need to put lots of energy in reinforcing this, right? So the doctor showed up and telling me that you clearly kind of like see that certain things really need remedy, but in these cards you need to understand that we are going back to the 18th century. So all of these professionals, and that lasted up to 10 years ago, that these doctors and lawyers had this special prestige in our society. To some extent they still do, but back then a doctor could be a lawyer and a priest and vice versa, kind of like all of them have this kind of like multitude of roles, right? So that also kind of like represents here. I really think that you maybe need an advisor in the situation. You need to come to somebody you trust. Men might come to a woman, and women might come to a man and ask for maybe wise advice, right? There is also clearly a need here to assess the situation and maybe get out of situation, right? And maybe you simply are in some kind of like inertia. Maybe some plans can have fallen apart, and but now you're assessing how to do it. Maybe you're feeling that you spend lots of time and lots of effort building something, and then in the last moment when everything was supposed to happen and you were like, it's almost like you clean the house, you tell your kids you just have this lunch and I'll be back in half an hour, you come back and everything is in disarray, you have to start all over. Kind of like it can make you really, really mad, right? But what I see over here is that your temper might actually be tempered with people who are really helpful and people who are willing to get you through the situation and give you the advice where you can reverse this King of Wands and become this charismatic, energetic leader with laughter and turning things into giggles, where people are more receptive to listening versus having this prickly personality with kind of like anger that everybody kind of like wants to stay away from, even if what you're telling is true. So kind of like you will need to really think how you come across in this like bi-weekly time, right? And resilience. Oh my gosh, that is a little kind of like rebounder, and that's what I need to do today. I need to start. I'm promising over here that I'm losing weight. So guys, this is a public promise, and you can catch up with me in a month and ask me how much I did it, and I will let you know. This is something that we are reading for Aries, and it is something that I bought for him, and I said this is really important. It's really important for your health, and exercises every muscle. And whenever I have problems with my eyes, I just go that and fixes me in 10 minutes. Resilience is like, to me, one of the best quality a person can have. Knowing that, I mean, Nelson Mandela comes to mind, knowing that you can be subject to anything, and that you're going to be allowing things to bounce off and not to absorb them. When you absorb them, they poison the things. No matter what happens, you're going to be landing on your feet. So I'm glad to see that this is really happening here for you guys. So this is a good news. Then let's see who will be next. Tension in the air, Carly said. The next one, Gemini. A sip of coffee is really nice until I write this down. So let's see. Temperance reversed. Nine of Pentacles and the Emperor. Two majors, guys. So Gemini and a 9, which means 9 is just saying, look what is around me, kind of a thing. You are really feeling comfortable where you are right now. Maybe you have been dealing with people who try to misdirect you, who try to put wool over your eyes, who kind of like would point out at the issues that you have, where, you know, there are a bundle of issues. Isn't this always the case? And Temperance reversed is always telling me that something is not meshing, something is not gelling, something is off the balance, somebody's not patient, something has to be happening, but it's not happening. And it's not happening because the person is unreasonable, right? The person is rocking the freaking boat, right? Because this is like a comfort. This angel is in between death on one side, number 13, and devil on the other side. Imagine, these are your freaking neighbors. You have a death on one side and you have a devil on the other side, right? Holy freaking amazing kind of a thing, right? So you're always kind of like, you need to be very light. You need to be very, very much kind of like on the ball, on the roll all the time, in order to keep this positive quality. But it's positive that they will overshadow you, right? So that's why you get into this Temperance reverse, where somebody wants to take control, somebody is telling you how things have to be, and you know, it's almost like you're feeling a little bit burned down. And that's why I see here, maybe you're going to just kind of pull away and you're going to say, no, you know, I need to count my blessings. Maybe this is not exciting, but I'm going to sit in my garden and I'm going to enjoy my coffee. I'm going to read a book and I'm going to just watch the freaking grass grow. I'm going to do the Zen thing, and that Zen is really important. Some of you, and I don't know why this came across, might even build yourself a Zen garden. It could be something as small as a little kind of like bubbling fountain that you can really look at it, that can kind of like redirect the stress from you. It could be just simply like, a little bird bath of some sort. But I'm kind of like thinking you're going to be really into nature and really kind of like feeling comfortable and satisfied. This is also reinforced by the Emperor. You are not going to cave in. Like, I mean, you're going to redirect yourself in a different direction. It almost does look like that your neighbor that was like kind of like doing in one ear, the death neighbor was saying, well, you know what, look, I mean, something has not shouldn't last, something has to go further. Maybe somebody let you down, and because of that you decided to be single, or you decide to be single, but you're saying, no, I am single, but I also want these foundations. It's really important. So whether these foundations mean for you, let's say, going back into that situation, being married, being in a relationship, and saying this is the way it should be from this point on, right? Emperor is not necessarily very diplomatic, right? And that's basically Mars, what we are talking about. And this is talking about this retrograded Mars over here. It's going to be really important over here to understand this, right? But it also could mean kind of like being in control, having a complete reign of the situation. So it's almost like going to be that it's going to be kind of like reveal in the beginning, maybe like September 5th to September 9th. And then you're going to start having completely different attitudes and different kind of like anticipation of how things should work and what really needs to happen. So let's see, you got one card, you got Prison, and you got Sweetheart. Prison to me is almost like a marriage card, and even here it hit me like possible marriage. And maybe it's kind of weird, when you're single you want to be married, when you're married you want to be single, right? It's just like you always want stuff, so it's one is excluding another, and that's the problem, right? So it is a repetition of this. He wants the sweetheart. He cannot get to her because he is in jail. But he is so mesmerized in what he wants and how he got there, and embarrassment of the situation, that he doesn't turn around, that he doesn't realize there is a vase. Does this vase maybe have a key? Why is somebody putting this vase in there? Is this some written message, something that he needs to say? But he is not making an effort of some sort, right? And I really think this is like what is really happening. Maybe you're finding that relationships are very constraining for you. Maybe that's what it is. This simply can mean different message, that you'll be just simply beautifying yourself of some sort, that maybe you feel you have neglected yourself for whatever reason. Maybe you just kind of like let yourself go. It was too much pandemic. We're all working in freaking pajamas, and sometimes it's nice to kind of like brush your hair and kind of like put yourself together, right? And this is really, really important to move forward, right? So let me see what else you get here. What's up, Tiggy? Birth. Yeah, that's the death connection. That card means also birth. It's kind of like pushing through. Something stops and something new is happening. So you guys have to realize your limitations. You have to realize what is not moving forward. Maybe somebody literally died, and we cannot maybe return certain things back, but we can build legacy. We can build something new, and something new is built out of something that has been. So it's going to be very important here to kind of like see this, right? So Gemini, it will be really interesting. It's two karma cards. Something will be happening that is really important, something that is going to stand out maybe in this year. So we'll see what that is. And we have here Virgo. Oh, we had Virgo. Happy birthday to Virgo again. So we are going to fold you down for the next week. We have Cancer. Cancer. Let me make the stamp up. 133.33 over here, and a sip of my coffee. Nothing? Sorry, Cancer. No messages for you. Oh, there is something that wants to talk. It's a Knight of Pentacles. Yep, it is something slow. Something is not coming through. This one wanting to come out. The Lovers. Lovers. And the World reversed. 2 majors. Guys, there is like something that is lingering. Something that is very, very slow. Knight of Pentacles is a friend. So I don't know if you have earth signs or if you have air signs that have some kind of prominence in your life, or at least they will have some prominence in the upcoming 2 weeks, right? So Knight of Pentacles slows things down, and I mean slow things down. You will be in the car and you will be driving and they're going to see the snail passing you by on your left side, kind of a thing, right? So there is like a process. Maybe you are in a relationship. Maybe this relationship is moving you at the snail pace, right? Maybe you want to go on the next level. Maybe you want to go in a new direction. Maybe you want some kind of commitment, and this is just like not happening. But the relationship is happening. So maybe you have to focus on things that are really working, right? The choices are being made of some sort, but they're still not being made the way you want it and how you want it. So that is really important here to assess, right? So let's see where else we get these karma cards. With this, pardon me, with gypsy cards. There is a friend. There is a repetition of this. And misfortune. Why is misfortune here? Is this connecting to the world? Misfortune is such a negative card. One more. Thoughts. I'm wondering if this is your anticipation. Maybe you have some baggage. Maybe certain things happened in the past. Maybe you felt when people are not committing or not saying yes, that this simply means no, or that means there's like something else going on, right? That's why the thoughts is coming through, right? Because misfortune is like tower, but it's like tower on steroids, right? This card is about fall from grace, about accidents, kind of like that something unexpected will happen. You're feeling that somebody's going to pull the rug under your feet, kind of a thing. It's negativity, right? Of some sort. Catastrophe, if you really wish. And catastrophe means nothing but upheaval, just like in tarot card, except in tarot and tower, like people are jumping off and they're managing to fall in the water, so technically they might save themselves, where here they're almost like burning alive. So you're like anticipating catastrophe. You're being very negative in a situation. Somebody's being very negative in a situation. That can be a relationship, that can be a business, right? This card usually amplifies the cards around them, right? So if we have positive, amplifies them. But this card, when the world is reversed, it's very negative card, because it's not negative in the terms of you're going to trip and going to break your leg, but it's almost like on a much bigger level that you're missing the freaking big point of what you really need to see, right? So do not jump to conclusions here, because jumping to conclusion means that you're thinking that something is over. You're thinking that you're going to lose something. You're going to lose a partner, you're going to lose family or property of some sort, right? This might indicate disputes with your relatives, especially if they are air signs, right? This can indicate that you're not getting help from your friends, from your colleagues over here. It can indicate some depression or disconnection with reality. That's all really, really important. So you guys need to do something over here, which is kind of like recognizing that when things are ending, and if things are ending, they're going to change forever. You just need to rebuild. That's what it means. That's like with towers. That's what with the world card. That's why you have the fixed signs around saying, well, you know what? You just need to look in this like 4 different buckets, 4 different segments of your life, and see how you raise those pillars in order to reinforce them again. But there's like something carrying you through. Like you still have the hope. You still have to read the positive things about it. So it's not all negative, and balance is the key. You know what? Ultimately is how you will deal with that, and not what people will do. People will leave anyhow. So why to, I call it like, I mean, play poker with sweaty palms. Why to be nervous all along? Just wait for it to happen. You'll have enough time to cry. You'll have enough time to be nervous. And you're going to get your bucket of Haagen-Dazs, and we are all kind of going through a situation, and you're going to be okay. That's the key. Instead of like experiencing all of that plus being nervous along the way. So somebody is stealing your life. Do not let that happen. You don't deserve it, right? All right. Who is next? We have Taurus, Leo, Capricorn left. Let's see. Who is going to be the next? Capricorn. Chris is not here today. I miss Chris. So let me put the timestamp over here. 1:40. Oh man, like this is like dog's breakfast. Mine today here. Right, Capricorn. 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 Man, you're like Cancer. Whenever I do the warning, like then something jumps in and something like that is negative. But negative leads to positive, just like what Cancer had. And this one. Five of Cups, the Sun, and Three of Pentacles. For you, you may be reminiscing a little bit this week. Maybe you're looking into something that you didn't rebuild. It's really weird. It's almost like you are missing a lover. You are like in the comfort of your home and kind of like picking up. You're kind of like either shaving or, you know, brushing your hair, putting a makeup on, depending on what you like to do in the morning. And you're kind of like having your thoughts, kind of like, you know, when you go down this memory lane, I wish I did that, I wish I did that. But then you get over it, then you start your day, then your family comes, then, you know, your kids come, you start feeling enthusiastic, the sun brings the transparency. It's kind of like, I think you need to leave home. I really feel that there is like loneliness that is actually going to take you down into moody thoughts, into negative kind of like space. You really need to kind of go out. You really need to start kind of like raising above everything. The sun is really important thing. It's also talking about, and many people don't see it, there is the wall over here, but you're turning your back to the wall because you feel secure. There is the wall over here as well, and there are three people here where one person is explaining the expertise, and this is one is very elevated card, right? It's almost like anomaly in the entire deck. Usually the higher you go, the more you need to learn, the more it's going, but here is like in the stage of 3, which is kind of like that putting the key in the engine and starting the car, is you got the order of something. You kind of like, you got your marching orders, you're setting something up, you're kind of like going in a certain direction, you're reestablishing yourself, you're working on yourself. So don't go down the memory lane. Don't go what if. Don't go into I wish. Don't go into I hope. Just go into happiness, into the now. This is like clearly now situation for you, meaning just kind of like focus on your kids, focus on your friends, focus on kind of like positive communication. I do feel that you'll have dealings with either your subordinates or with your children in this particular weekend are going to be fantastic. Just dwell on that. Like, you know, like when we start to kind of like feel and breathe that positive energy, it really kind of like takes us to the next level. And then we have death, which kind of like maybe you're ending a relationship. Maybe you don't want to go into this depth of depression. There's like something going on that you're very, very disappointed that it really didn't work out, right? Joyfulness is reversed. So it's kind of like sucking out the normal ability of the normal equilibrium from you. Yeah, like you're getting all these negative cards here, which I think are simply warning you that you have ability to prevent them. Like it's almost like could be two different kind of like Capricorns, that one part is going to be very consumed with some kind of like pain or something or some loss. This can also mean literal death of some sort, because this almost like can mean awake of some sort and something that came unexpectedly, right? But this is also telling about celebration. So it could mean like burial of some kind and celebrating the person, or it could mean simply they are separated kind of like issues that some of you will be dealing with relationships, and some of you will be dealing with pragmatic kind of career, with family kind of like interactions, connections, etc. Or it can also give this like third option that I started with, kind of like I felt strongly about, that you're going to redefine yourself. You're going to kind of like remove those dark corners that you have and apply yourself to work, and that's going to be really the best solution moving forward. So that is really, really important. So communication, yeah, this is all about communications. This is all about expressing your needs and wishes, but this is not going to be all big lofty ideas, but the small, very pragmatic, let's do this and help me do this kind of like moving forward. So guys, if you start feeling that you're spiraling down, then maybe you should come and listen to this reading again, because it's really telling you kind of like you need to kind of push yourself up. And don't forget, I have these energy sessions that can really quickly get you out of your funk, and that can help. And all right, and let me see here who is next. And next is Leo. Leo is, a sip of my coffee. Leo. Nobody's talking. What is this? Just I'm talking? Oh my goodness. Where are you? Don't fall asleep. Am I putting you to sleep? I'm going to crank up some music. Leo, the Tower reversed. The Wheel of Fortune reversed. Yeah, that Venus enters Leo tomorrow, that's playing up. And 10 of Cups reversed. There is like the end of something, guys. This is all adding up to 9, but I still have 2 10s, right? Is it? 16, 26, 36. Yeah, 36 is 9. This is kind of concerning. I'm not going to lie to you. And I really think this is what Venus is messing up with you. And this can relate to relationships. I don't know, you might be dealing with Sagittarius or the other fixed signs like Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, or Leo. And maybe you're putting a brave face on. That's why the 10 of Cups came reversed, because it's basically saying everything is okay, but really it isn't. We see this Tower. But when the Tower reverses, and this is why I don't like it, it was something connecting to something phallic in your case, but it just like it feels like certain things haven't been built properly. That goes without saying. That's what a tower always means, right? And we can see this. Like, look, this tower is cracking, the foundations are cracking, the top is cracking, everything is like, collapsing everywhere, right? So save your soul kind of a thing, right? But it's really interesting that we see even the crown over here on the tower kind of like falling off, right? When Tower reverses, it really means that we kind of like are usually clueless about the real situation that is really, really going on. And because of our cluelessness, you kind of like seem to be going here into this Wheel of Fortune reversed. So this Wheel of Fortune reversed is saying, okay, now you're on some kind of like receiving end of crap, if you wish, right? Now, things are looking bad. Things are looking as if they're not going to happen. That something is not going or not rolling in a good direction, right? So Wheel of Fortune, when it kind of like goes down to this, like you're simply going through this period, maybe reinforcing kind of like some, I would say maybe low self-esteem, and like nobody can make you feel bad. You can make feeling yourself bad, right? So that's really important here, how you kind of like really reposition yourself, because I can see your pride here really working properly. I can see here that like 10 of Cups 23 verses is saying, no, I'm not going to show to the world that I'm suffering, that I'm unhappy, because this spells unhappiness and feels like going in some kind of a dark place. But instead, you're putting this front. Of course, like, I mean, you're Leo, you're fixed sign. You're never going to show anybody that you have fallen apart, because you feel, oh my gosh, if you fell apart, people will not understand this. Like, people don't understand that strong people can also fall apart, right? Let me see what else I get here with Gypsy cards for you. But I feel really, really strongly. I don't know, like, is Kylie still here? Like, we are so in tune. Look. You got also the misfortune. So there's like repetition of this tower. And there is like this pride over here. That will be like this 10 of Cups reversed, and service. But service is something that is coming here as positive. I mean, why is it that you are not admitting your real feelings? That's my question here. How do you move forward with not honoring yourself? It almost looks like the service means that you're putting others before yourself. How about, being vulnerable? And that's something we can learn from water signs, is kind of like also needing to be strong, but also needing to speak what we really, really need, right? It's asking for help. It's also receiving help because we ask. It is also clearly well-mannered and kind of stuff, asking something in a really nice way, not being kind of like drama queen, right? Like, because Leo sign generally connects with this big kind of like Hollywood production kind of a thing, right? But I'm kind of like picking up here that you're kind of like feeling that you are feeling what you're feeling is wrong, right? But your feelings are not wrong. Like, your motives are not clear. That's the thing. Or maybe your partner is not supportive. That's kind of like what this means, and that's why maybe somebody needs this, like, I mean, royal treatment, or somebody wants let them eat cake, kind of like the attitude, right? So you guys really need help. This upcoming 2 weeks will be really challenging for you. You kind of like really need things happening, right? So be really mindful of the motivation of people that both you serve and that you kind of react with, or that you expect them to have some kind of like influence in the situation, because it almost like this tells me with these 2 tens that you have around, that you're allowing other people to almost like direct you, to kind of guard you, and that's a big no-no with fixed signs, because then you kind of like go off the rails, and that really worries me, guys. If you guys need me, you can contact me at cattarot.ca, so because that's a little concerning. Purpose, and I think that's the key, and probably that would build on this service. You guys are going through a dark period, but the Wheel of Fortune is meaning that it's going to go up. At this point, it's going to go up. It's going to get better. Sure, you kind of like need to maybe recover something about your ego. That's why you have the peacock over here. And you maybe need to realize that something has been built in a really, really wrong way. So hence the purpose. And I really like that the sun is really showing up. And even though you're climbing these mountains, and mountains always talk about difficulties, and maybe this is the hardest way to go, maybe around them is a much longer way, but it's safer way, and it's kind of like almost like guaranteeing the destination, where here it can be slippery slope and never reaching this destination. So it is like something that you really need to think through. So I would say, guys, be kind, mostly to yourself. Speak your own truth. Speak what you feel. Speak what you want. And if that means moving forward and rebuilding things, so be it. That's kind of like what maybe basically doctor's order, right? But the Wheel of Fortune reversed means kind of it's going up. You're going to see this light. You're going to get better. So it is really, really important to know. So Knitting Yogi is saying, I have a friend that is a Leo and he lost his dad a couple of weeks ago. He died on his birthday. Oh my goodness. Isn't this kind of like how people die around their birthdays? It's like so sad. It's almost like a goal that we have. We just want to reach that one, next one. So it's always happening around there. My friend yesterday lost her grandmother that she was very connected to, who actually raised her at one point because her mother was basically paralyzed for a while. So it was assisted suicide situation. So she was just describing this, how this all goes. So I really need to go and see her today. It's kind of like really different when you go through assisted suicide. It's not the same. It's almost like you're left with some kind of control about it. Her grandma was 92, so but her quality of life just didn't exist anymore, being on aspirators and barely being able to breathe. So, but nonetheless, it's the end of era, right? That kind of matters. And the last one today is Taurus. So, my dear Taurus, you know, in Germans say sugar comes last, meaning like you serve dessert, right? At the very end. So let's see what we get for you. Okay. Taurus. Taurus, you are getting 10 of Wands. And you are getting Ace of Cups. It looks like there's some kind of secrets in relationships, or some secrets that you're trying to get some emotional answers. 10 of Wands, Ace of Cups, the Hermit, and 7 of Swords. I mean, they're like also like, I mean, 2 vibrations of 1, right? But everything is like almost like coming to almost like it's the end of some kind of pattern. It's the end of one phase. It's kind of like really weird. Like you are pushing it forward and you really don't know where you're pushing it, right? Like this dude is like holding all of these wands and they're like, first of all, very, very heavy. Look how he's holding them. Like it's completely out of balance and they're going to drop. He's not going to get there. So this kind of like talks about not having a vision, not knowing where you're going, and something emotionally shutting down. Maybe there's like completely need for pulling away and being on your own. The Hermit here is actually not a bad card. It really talks about having a little bit of Zen attitude, having a little bit of, okay, let me think what I need next, how I want to do it. I'm not so sure how or why, rather to say, the 7 of Swords showed up. It's almost like that maybe something is brewing behind you, something is happening behind your back, that somebody is, I don't know, the Hermit is looking in this direction and this dude is looking at this direction. This guy also wants to look in this direction, but he doesn't see it. This guy, he did see it and he's grabbing it and running away. It's almost like somebody's moving it forward and somebody's moving it backward. This guy wants to go in this direction and this guy is actually going in this direction with kind of like looking over his shoulder. Maybe this is you looking over your shoulder. Maybe you were anticipating somebody wants to take something away from you. It almost looks to me that you might be getting rid of a relationship because something is getting too hard. Something is not having this emotional quality in it that you would like or you would hope for. Maybe before getting rid of it, maybe you're kind of like spending some time to think because you're not known for kind of like dropping things on the spot. You really want to think through these things, right? So the Hermit is always kind of like talking about maybe taking a little bit retreat, or maybe kind of like spending time with maybe really, really few close friends, spending lots of kind of like conversations, or simply kind of like sitting in front of YouTube videos that kind of like talk about the subject matter that you really want to know, and trust you're getting those messages, you're getting those words that kind of like start to stand up to you. And maybe this is how you find out, oh my goodness, I actually haven't seen or realized so and so and so, and now I do. Kind of like anticipating that somebody is taking advantage of some sort, right? So that's really, really interesting over here. So let me see what else I get here. So we have gift, which is very positive. You always like gifts, don't you? And thief. Is it some kind of Trojan horse? You know the story about Trojan horse? Like, I mean, they gave the gift. Trojans gave the gift, but they had a whole bunch of warriors hidden in the horse who basically took over Troya, right? The thief is this guy. And this is kind of like one of the meanings of this card, right? So it's the card that is called room, and the room talks about the intimacy and talks about this private space where you're going through. So now there's like somebody coming through that, you know, clearly has no room, no business being there. So there is like sudden unexpected loss of some sort. Maybe somebody's meddling, maybe there's like some kind of deception or betrayal of some sort, right? Something of a value could be lost, and maybe you are kind of like really pulling yourself together how to deal with that. Or maybe there is a risk that something of value will be lost, right? So I guess you don't really want to let your guard down, but you really also don't want to be in a situation that you have to be on guard. So hence maybe you're pulling yourself kind of like on your own, right? Be very careful, because this kind of like talks about people with bad intentions. And no wonder that you're saying, you know what, like, I mean, there are two secrets, that something is going on. Maybe somebody's giving you gifts and trying to camouflage, just like Trojan horse, what they really want. And you're getting really, really aware of that. And this is becoming really coming to the forefront of the situation. So if there are even small things happening that makes you suspicious, I wouldn't really ignore them, because they're actually showing you warnings about more serious problems that are really creeping in. So it's going to be very important, right? Because in this period of time, the others can take advantage of you. So you really need to be vigilant, and, you know, because something might be precious to you. This can be literal theft, guys, that somebody really comes into your home and takes something, or you drop things somewhere and somebody takes advantage of that. So what are the angel messages over here that are happening, Barbie? Men usually have breaks up easier than women. You find that? Synthesis. Hello? Hello? Do you love me? No? Do I love you? No? Nobody loves you? You have such a pathetic life, Safi. Taurus, you have Synthesis card, which kind of like almost tells me you're getting such clarity in the situation. This is the very Hermit, they're a very wise man card, that you don't need anybody. You just, at this stage of your life, you just need understanding of things. That's all that really matters to you. And even if people steal from you, they really can't, because everything that is valuable is inside. And that's kind of like almost it's kind of like huge digression from who you really are, because Taurus is always about owning a home, tactile things, food and jewelry, wine, kind of things, right? That you kind of venture from that to, it's okay. I kind of like I carry my home with me like turtle, right? Like snail, because all I have is inside of me. This is a big shift. So maybe this is why people feel this is just okay, because you don't care anymore. So you do care, but you're currently just getting into the stage that you're kind of sending those signals. So this is why you need to be very vigilant, because people might come here and might do things that, so if you keep money at home, I would say don't. I would say valuables. Literally, it can mean that, but it also can mean that you have to deal with people who you feel that they might not have your best interest in mind, right? So look at this, we did 2 hours. And yes, Barbie, you're going to have the doors. And let me mark this in. So guys, another questions that you have, yes or no. Let me close this, shuffle this. So let's say door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. Okay guys, did you focus on your question? Let's remove this. And So, if you ask for door number 1, you have the Lovers. And it's kind of really interesting. It just reminds me on this card, Thelma and Louise with Brad Pitt, who was sitting in the back of this car, right? And it is kind of like, I'm going to have this on my terms. The Lovers is about the choice, and it might end up that you will need to choose. It's not going to be everything that you get, but it's going to be, you will get what you need. Let me put it this way. So it's going to be definitely yes, but it's not going to happen in a way you expected. So door number 2 is the Tower. Oh my gosh, look at this jello that she's like covered in, and radishes on the side. It almost looks disgusting, to just be honest, but that's why the Tower is kind of like, look, you need to rebuild this, how about some fruit instead, kind of a thing. So the answer is something will collapse over here, something will be crushed. So the answer could be no, but the answer could be this was never meant to happen, because it cannot happen. It was never meant to happen. So you're asking for something that needs to be built be built properly, or it cannot be built. I don't know, maybe somebody dies and it cannot happen because of that reason, not because it wouldn't happen. You see, like, don't get me going on this direction, but like, you know what I mean, right? Or somebody has a car accident, they're hospitalized, so hence it cannot happen. So it's going to be something that will come in a way that's going to prevent it. But this can also talk about the accidents. It can talk about weather issues. It can talk about driving issues, anger issues, that sort of things. And the door number 3, we have the Hierophant. And look at this old-fashioned radio. So the answer here is yes, but the answer here is yes, that you need to look at this, the 3 majors. Oh my God, I'm having goosebumps, because everybody who is staying still here, and I see 16 of you still being with me, you guys have special messages over here, and this is like what I get from these 3 cards over here. Anyway, let's answer this first, number 3 over here. The number 3 door is Hierophant is going to happen. You need to follow the cookie cutter recipe. Things has to happen in a certain way. It's almost like Hierophant is the priest. This is how it has to happen, right? And in a very traditional way. And everybody has to be aware of that. And everybody has to be on the same page. It has to happen this way. If you try to deviate from the recipe, from the plan, from not putting this out in the open, it's not going to work. It might work for a little of a short while, but it's not going to ultimately work. And I think the message for all of us ultimately is that there is like something that is reshifting. In fact, we are going to have some kind of like karma in place. So this is like what we have, a 5 and 6 is 11. There is like this 11 coming through, which is justice, and this is clearly coming through the choices we make and how we make it, and who are the people around us. So be very careful and maybe analyze your friends and see if they are bringing goodness into your life, and if you're bringing goodness to their life, if there is like this flow of energy properly. And the Tower is really saying that we need to redefine how we build the systems and how we really work the systems, right? because everything together is also talking about being in some kind of like flux, being in some kind of like space where you really don't know if you should go left or right or forward or back. And this is really saying, look, when you don't know how to do it, you almost like feel paralyzed. There is like maybe some kind of like a paralysis, not so much analysis paralysis, but simply paralysis. You kind of like, you already know what you need to do, you really know where you need to get, but there is like a blockage that I feel this is not done. And maybe that blockage is because you feel that chips have fallen of some sort, and that you just need to dust yourself up. You don't want to, you're just saying, oh, never mind, whatever. And this is like really telling me, hey, get back on your feet, whatever it is, small steps, baby steps, but things are going to really work out. So thank you very much for being here with me. As Barbie said, thank you for everybody's time. You guys enjoy your Labor Day. You know, don't get freaking wires by being too close to somebody. The price can be death. And we did see a few of those lines over here. So just don't do it. Don't risk it, right? And you know that I love you, and I hope to see you in one piece on the 19th, September 19th. And I'm going to see you then. I love you. If you want a reading with me, contact me at CATURDAY. And until then, let me play some music for you over here. And then make sure you show up the next time, because it's so much fun. So let me see, what do I find? Let's have this for the ending. Love you, and I wish you guys all the best.